From incredible action-packed moments to deeply emotional encounters and much more, Season 2 of The Mandalorian had it all. Though it's been a while since the last season came out, fret not, Season 3 is just around the corner. It's building up to be the best one yet. But before I get into more details, here's when it's coming out. You're all probably waiting for it to finally come out. I know I am. In fact, the show's account on Twitter recently confirmed its release date, and it's much closer than any of you may have imagined. Obviously, it's going to come out on Disney's own streaming service, Disney+. But what might surprise everyone, as it certainly was to me, is that it's coming out on the 1st of March 2023. Not just that, but this time you can expect Mando to return to his home planet. After all, it connects to the spin-off Boba Fett show they put out. It's what makes the season so special. But with that said, what's the latest trailer like?
Being a Mandalorian's not just learning about how to fight.
The studio really took things up a notch with that incredible trailer. What stood out the most, at least for me, was that Grogu took on an entire alien monster that looked pretty much like a snowman all by himself. Just how powerful is this kid? Though he's probably hundreds of years old, if I'm being honest. But that's not all. The trailer officially confirmed that Mando is, in fact, going to be going back to his home planet. Why is he doing that, though? Well, you might remember that he takes off his helmet at the end of the second season. Turns out that's a huge sin in the Mandalorian code, so now he has to go back and make amends for the mistake he's committed. Another thing the trailer points towards is that this time you could see much more space travel. Mando's Naboo N1 starfighter is going to be begging for a mechanic by the end of the season. There's even more good news. This time, Greef Karga, Pelimoto, and even Babu Frick are going to be making an appearance. On the other hand, I have to talk about who's going to be working on it behind the camera. The good news for the latest season just doesn't end. The showrunner and lead writer for the series is going to be heading everything that goes on behind the camera. Of course, I'm talking about Jon Favreau, the very same legend of directing and producing films that brought incredible works of art, such as Iron Man and The Jungle Book, to the table. Not just that, but he's going to get a lot of help, especially with Dave Filoni by his side. With the two together again working on the show they built up, you can expect some incredible episodes coming soon. But by the looks of it, they're both taking it up a notch this time. If I'm going to talk about who's behind the camera, then I have to talk about the cast. Of course, the show can't be what it is without its main star, so Pedro Pascal is for sure coming back to claim his iconic role. Arguably the same role that made him so famous once again. But if he's coming back, then you can be sure that the 3 stunt doubles that it takes to pull off such a character are coming back too. They include Barry Lowen, Brendan Wayne, and Lateef Crowder. That's even more good news. Katie Sackhoff, the same person who played Bo-Katan Kryze in the 2nd season, is returning again.
Where did you get that armor?
This armor has been in my family for 3 generations.
You do not cover your face. You are not Mandalorian. He's one of them.
Dink Ferrick.
One of what?
I am Bo-Katan of Clan Kryze.
In fact, she talked about it in an announcement panel while the Star Wars celebration was going on too, saying that the character has some business she needs to take care of. She's probably talking about the whole Darksaber debacle, though for fans of Fennec Shand, there might be some bad news. In a recent interview that the actor had with Digital Spy, she talked about how it was doubtful if her character would be a part of the new season. She went on to talk about how fans are more likely to find out before her, saying that she didn't even know she was a part of the Book of Boba Fett, so it's all a big maybe, and she's the wrong person to ask about it. Not just that, but everyone's favorite villain, Moff Gideon.
Sir, you should see this.
Moff Gideon, you have something I want.
played by Giancarlo Esposito, is going to be a much bigger focus this time too. You can for sure expect him to be even more terrifying than he normally is. On the other hand, Cara Dune is for sure not coming back. Seeing as she was kicked off the show after some super offensive posts. With that said and done, here's what the third season could be about. First of all, it's a huge relief to all fans out there that both Grogu and Mando are finally a team again, though that whole storyline was told in the book of Boba Fett. But it makes sense that they're back together. Who would even watch the show when the main cogs that keep it running aren't a thing anymore? So you can expect them to go on another wacky adventure this time too. Though now the story will focus on Mando. Grogu is probably going to have a ton of problems controlling his powers, especially since he doesn't have anyone to guide him. He rejected being trained by Luke Skywalker and just wanted to go with Mando. Not just that, but you can expect a huge battle between Mando and Bo-Katan to take place too, especially since Mando has the Darksaber now, and Bo needs it to be the rightful leader of Mandalore. It will be a huge battle with Mando gathering up allies to face off against her. All the while, Moff Gideon may have some tricks up his sleeve, while previously, it may have been doubtful if the character was even going to show up in the season, with fans thinking that he's either executed or imprisoned for his crimes. But recently, especially with more news about the casting going around, he's going to have a much more terrifying presence. Hopefully, you get to see him take on all of them to get revenge. And finally, is the upcoming season going to connect to spin-offs? It didn't seem like there was ever going to be a third season, especially considering how the second one ended. But with the release of the Book of Boba Fett, a completely new storyline was set up. While it may not have been a purely Mandalorian story, it does set the show up to branch out into other spin-off shows in the franchise. You could finally get your hands on a Star Wars universe that's as tightly connected as the MCU. Some of the shows that are based around the same time as The Mandalorian are highly likely to connect every now and then, so you're going to have to watch almost all of them for things to make perfect sense. The Book of Boba Fett is one of them, and it's already done it. Others include Ahsoka and Rangers of the New Republic. Could the upcoming season set up more shows for the future too? Not just that, but Mando's choices after he made a place for Grogu in his heart have made the story so much better. The entire show has been uplifted because of that. Not just that, but he's also discovering more about his own creed the entire time and learning more about himself. That's been a look at why Season 3 of The Mandalorian will blow you away.